When Daniel Hart bought the house on Willow Lane, everyone told him it was a mistake. The building stood at the end of the street like an old man who had outlived his family, silent, bent, and watching. The paint peeled like dead skin, and the windows reflected the sky with a dull, unblinking stare. Daniel ignored the warnings. He needed a place where no one knew him, a place quiet enough to bury the noise of his past. The first night was calm, too calm. No wind, no distant traffic, not even the sound of insects. The silence pressed against his ears until it felt heavy. Around midnight, as Daniel lay awake on the creaking bed, he heard it, a breath. It came from inside the walls. He sat up, heart racing, and held his own breath to listen. The sound returned, slow, wet, and deliberate, as if the house itself was alive and breathing beside him. Daniel laughed nervously and blamed old pipes or trapped air. Still, he slept with the light on. The next morning, he explored the house. The rooms were oddly shaped, corners slightly wrong, angles that made his eyes ache if he stared too long. In the hallway, he noticed scratch marks near the base of the wall, deep, uneven grooves, like something had tried to claw its way out. That night, the breathing returned, louder, closer. Daniel followed the sound to the hallway. As he pressed his ear to the wall, the breathing stopped. In its place came a whisper, "Daniel." He stumbled back, nearly falling. No one else was in the house. His name echoed once, then vanished. The wall looked ordinary, faded wallpaper, cracked plaster, but Daniel felt certain something was watching him from the other side. Sleep became impossible. Every night brought new sounds, scratching, faint knocks, whispers speaking half-remembered thoughts from his own mind, things he had never said out loud, regrets, guilt. On the fourth night, he dreamed of a narrow space behind the wall, a place too small to stand, filled with darkness and teeth. When he woke, his fingernails were broken and bleeding. The wall beside his bed was marked with fresh scratches from the outside. Something wanted him closer. Daniel stopped leaving the house. The outside world felt distant, unreal, as if the walls had claimed him already. He began talking back to the whispers, arguing with them, begging them to stop. They never answered directly. They only laughed softly from behind the plaster. He started tearing at the wallpaper in the hallway. Beneath it, the plaster was warm to the touch, almost soft. When he pressed his palm against it, the wall pressed back. That night, the whisper changed. "Let us in," it said. Daniel screamed and drove a hammer into the wall. The plaster cracked open, releasing a smell like rot and damp earth. Inside was not insulation or brick, but darkness, thick, moving darkness that recoiled from the light. A hand emerged, not human, too many joints, fingers bending the wrong way. It scraped against the opening, leaving black stains on the wall. Daniel ran, locking himself in the bathroom, listening as something scratched and laughed on the other side. By morning, the hole was gone. The wall was smooth again, as if it had healed. Daniel began recording everything in a notebook, desperate for proof that he wasn't losing his mind. But each time he wrote about the wall, the words changed when he looked away. Sentences twisted into warnings. "You belong here." The mirror stopped reflecting him properly. Sometimes his reflection smiled when he did not. Sometimes it was delayed, moving a second too late. The house was learning him. On the seventh night, the whisper spoke clearly. "We are the ones you buried." Daniel remembered then the accident, the fire, the screams trapped behind collapsing walls, the people he ran past to save himself, the guilt he carried like a second spine. The house knew, and it was hungry. The breathing grew constant, filling every room. The walls bulged, pulsing like lungs. Daniel tried to escape, but the front door would not open. Windows showed only darkness beyond, even at noon. The whisper guided him back to the hallway. "Come home," it said. The walls split open without resistance, peeling apart like wet paper. Inside was the narrow space from his dreams. Faces pressed out from the darkness, burned, twisted, familiar. Their mouths opened in silent screams. They pulled him in. The space was alive, the walls flexed, tightening around him. He could feel hearts beating within the plaster. Hands brushed his skin, cold and accusing. "You left us," they whispered. Daniel tried to apologize, but the darkness filled his mouth. Memories flooded him, the fire, the heat, the choice. Every step he took deeper into the wall made the space grow smaller. The house groaned in pleasure. Somewhere far away, sirens wailed. A neighbor had called the police after hearing screams. They arrived to find the house silent, abandoned. No sign of Daniel, only fresh scratches on the walls. The house on Willow Lane still stands. New owners come and go. They complain about the silence, the strange warmth of the walls, the way the house seems to breathe at night. Some hear whispers. Some see faces in the plaster. The scratches never fade. Behind the walls, Daniel listens. He breathes with the house now, a part of it. When new footsteps echo through the halls, he feels hope and hunger. The house remembers, and it is never full.